What's up, Nibbles? J-Dawg here. Today we got Chris from fucking Rottrevore. All the way from Pittsburgh back. And how many years have you guys reformed? What, like 2 years ago?
We had a reformation or reincarnation between the end of 21 and almost all of 22 and kind of went dormant again, and we're back within the past year to 14 months.
Yeah. So you've got, I know you never seen my channel, but you guys have been brought up on the channel many times. By myself, I brought you guys up so you can clarify if you agree, disagree, or what you think is. I've said in the running of like top heaviest albums or bands of all time, things that come to my mind is like Mortician, the first two Incantation albums, and Rottrevore. Would you agree with that? Would you say fucking Mortician, we're heavier than them, goddammit?
Yeah, no, I don't know how Rot got in that list, but I want to be humble about it, and that's an honor. Thank you.
There's lots of people in their Cleveland scene, like, dude, back in the day when you went up to Pittsburgh and saw Rottrevore play, like, they were the heaviest thing ever.
Oh, I'm honored that I don't feel that way, but...
Is that something you guys were going for back then? You just to try to create some of the heaviest death metal ever?
That's the intent, and even so, more as much or more than the heavy side of it is the eerie, scary, mysterious type sound that the music makes. Not even with the vocals, just the way the instrumentation and the arrangement is made. Yeah.
Now, you guys just did the one album, Iniquitous,
is how it's pronounced.
And then the 2 7-inches?
Yeah, they precede it, and they're the same song. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a couple demos. Outside that, after that, you guys were gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, what was the reason? Why were you guys gone? Like, what did you leave for?
Well, when people aren't available to pull together as a band, and it's, the makings for are just too hard. So I myself was on my own, and I played like I was in a band, even if I was by myself, but it still wasn't substantial enough to be anything. But I still have like tons and tons of music.
Yeah. So, what made you guys decide to come back, like, what, 30 years later or something? Like, what gave you guys, it's just you and Mark as the original members, right?
Yeah, I don't like to look at it as original members. People might do that, but like, we're the first members, I'll say. But still, it was the drummer, his name's Jared. Jared wanted to pull this band back together, and it was kind of like a prompt or a little bit of a nudge or some motivation from him. And I don't know that if he wouldn't have spoke up and inquired about that or made the suggestion, I don't know that there'd be anything here.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So you guys are planning now. You got Brian Baxter too from Regurgitation and several other bands.
Yeah.
He's added an addition.
Yeah, we like him. He's a death head. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how's that going with it? Because he's only been in the band for what, a few months now.
Yeah, it's only a few months.
And you guys have I hear you guys are probably working on like a new full length then.
Yeah, it might take some time, but that's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, another full length. So is there any conflict between you and previous members? Because actually, I don't know if it was between you or Mark, whoever. Actually, Hell's Headbangers is my label. We were talking, again, I can't remember if it was you, talking about doing, reissuing the album, LP, CD, putting it out. And there was conflict like, hey, so-and-so doesn't want it out, we want it out, but there was like a difference, like, and then it just never happened. And we were talking about doing t-shirts too, and it was basically, it just seemed like a disagreements between members, and like...
Yeah, well, that's a hard thing to address and really get, accurate read on, because there's a lot of things that factor in. I don't want to talk too much on this specifically, but there's a lot goes on when there's quietness and there's a band that's kind of withdrawn from the scene or members and anything to that effect. So it's misunderstandings and not being agreeable to certain little things. So that really just kind of serves as an obstacle or a limitation, or you can't advance past that, and then everybody's empty-handed in that situation. But yeah, it's so much deeper than it is wide.
Yeah. Now coming back up from the Pittsburgh scene too, you have bands like Dream Death, this guy over here, Nunslaughter, Hideous Mangleus, shit like that. Were you what was your take on the Pittsburgh metal scene back when you guys were coming up? Were you just friends with the guys? Are you a fan of a lot of the bands coming up?
Well, I was always a guitar player that copied songs in my teens and stuff. When I was late teens, mid-teens, but especially late teens, early 20s, started making my own songs with a band, and I had awareness to the underground metal bands of Pittsburgh that began with like Dream Death, and even if they weren't like metal, it was stuff like Eviction. There was a band called Necropolis, and then of course you mentioned Dawn with Nun Slaughter, and Nun Slaughter goes in 1988 or earlier. I'm thinking way earlier than that, but that was all influential, and that was all a motivation to want to be an underground metal band of sorts and try to be unique. We made up the band name and stuff years ago, and it really, for its humble origins, the Pittsburgh underground metal scene, and that includes Bell Vernon, was a pretty outstanding metal scene considering where it all began.
Is there any bands that they mentioned like that, maybe just did a demo or something that you think was really, really good that the scene doesn't know about that you'd recommend?
Oh, definitely. That begins with a band called Fatality. It was a band called Fatality, and I'm not sure when they formed exactly, but they were a pretty cutting-edge band back then, and they made some great music. And my guess is, they never really got well known, and we didn't either at the same time, because there wasn't much to thrive on for a scene. But Fatality is easily my favorite underground metal band from Pittsburgh when you think about the talent and their potential. And who else was there? And then there was a band called Stump Grinder, and that was Dave and Dan Hoffer. They were showgoers, and they evolved into a band at some point with a friend of mine named Pat Carroll playing drums. I have to really rack my brain about other bands from the Pittsburgh vicinity, but them two come to mind first. And then there was your standard metal bands. I really don't, how do I put this across, that almost don't belong only because they didn't fit the description of underground metal and have the imagery and stuff. Maybe I shouldn't even mention them, but I did like a band called Whiskey High, even if they played cover songs and stuff, but they did make some of their own music. That's about it right there, but I mean, if you really dig deep, you can find more.
Yeah, like Fatality, I'm unfamiliar with it. Do you remember Fatality, Don?
I don't remember Fatality.
So do they do it? Did they actually record any demo tapes or anything?
Well, Fatality had a demo cassette in either 91 or 92 that was entitled Cease to Exist, and then they did a self-financed album in, I want to say 94 or 95, and it was entitled Choose Your Eternity. And anyways, the production on it's kind of like a little bit weak, but there's still good songs, and you can hear the band's potential.
Is it death metal, black metal, thrash metal? Or?
Well, it's got the death metal element, and it's got the nostalgic sound, and I don't think that they had come into their own completely with their musicianship and songwriting as a group, but they had the potential, and so really that's all we have is that album and the Cease to Exist demo. Yes.
When did you first meet Don and like hear Nunslaughter, for example? Like, when that was?
See, as young as Dawn and myself are, I probably met him in either 1989, 88. I'm going to say 87. So let's pick one. Let's just go with 88. But anyways, I met him at the Electric Banana, which was the underground metal place in Pittsburgh. And
so Morbid Angel plays. Were you at that show?
Yeah, I've seen Morbid Angel there. And Electric Banana shows back then were really hit or miss as far as their audience and how many people would attend. And even so, though, when you went to a show and there was only like 14 or 12 or 10 people, you still had a good time because you knew everybody.
Yeah.
And there was like a sense of community and brotherhood and togetherness, and it was a special thing, whether there was a big crowd or a small crowd.
Like, yeah, brotherhood, the metal scene. Would you say that's lost nowadays as opposed to it was in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, and there's, I don't want to talk mess and slam people and point out people.
Don't worry, I do plenty of that on the channel on my own. So.
But anyways, like, no, there's a lot of things that have kind of leaked in and ruined the integrity of it.
Yeah.
And you can tell though when you're talking to somebody and you're getting up close and personal or reconnecting where there's people that are sincere and have substance about their character and try to maintain or uphold that brotherhood as described. Certainly.
Is there any like bands within the last 10 years that you like or enjoy? Like, is there anything coming up? Like, in my opinion, if you started 10 years ago, you're a new band in my book. Is there anything that you saw like, I actually really like this band?
Well, ironically enough, being broken off from the scene for so many years, maybe it's closed-mindedness on my part, but there's not a lot of new bands that I like.
No.
I don't. That sounds bad, but like.
No, I get it. I mean, it's kind of it's not the same. Myself, it seems like I only find a new band maybe one per year that I like, and that's being generous.
Yeah. So where, when, and if it occurs, and there's the opportunity to have an introduction to a new band and get familiarized with them or go see them live or anything, that's not that often, but. Like, to me, that new band thing goes back 20 and almost 25 and literally close to 30 years, because I was saying to Dawn and a couple guys outside moments ago that my cutoff point's 1995. Anything 1995 and earlier is good. There's not much after that.
Hey, Don's cutoff is 89.
Oh my God.
That's about it.
Does you like Alders of Madness, Abominations Only?
Now that you brought me into it, I wanted to interject with the bands from Pittsburgh that I thought that needed a good mention. Hideous Mangleus.
I was gonna bring them up. Yeah, Hideous Mangleus. Sam's here.
Batham.
Batham and Sathis.
Chris
Sathanoff.
Sathis.
Yeah.
Monstrosity, which was another one with Mike Hill on vocals.
Wasn't Monstrosity? I was actually talking to Paul. We were supposed to shoot an interview. Monstrosity was pre-Sathanus, though, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. He was telling
me. It could have been. I was confused because everybody shared members.
because he brought it up, like as in he was in it. Because he was telling me about the Monstrosity. I was like, it's funny you say. I was like, Don always brought that up because I only know the Florida Monstrosity. But I remember, dude, there was a Pittsburgh one before those fucking posers. And I was like, did they ever record an actual demo?
Nope. Only
Okay.
a live show.
Now, does Big D have that live record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deathmetal did a cover.
Is that on the 7-inch where you covered Sathanus as well on Acheron?
Yeah. Acheron, Sathanus, Monstrosity.
Now the live recording, is it good? And you can distinguish the songs? Because I mean,
Yeah, it was great. It was a soundboard because it was recorded.
somebody should put that
Go
out.
back on Chris. I just want to
Yeah. Do you remember? So like a band like Monstrosity, does that ring a bell? Do you remember that?
I knew Monstrosity from Florida when they, as a Florida band.
Yeah.
And so if they started in Pittsburgh, I had no awareness to that, so I learned something. But I really feel bad that I didn't mention Sathanoff only because I'm thinking maybe like everybody already knows about them. So
That's what I think.
that kind of goes, and that's defiant to the whole idea of underground, and you're not that well known. But
I mean, so you agree? Like, 'cause I've actually said that channel, busting people's balls. I'm like, if you're underground music, I was like, I just assume you know who Sathanus is.
yeah,
That's a safe assumption, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
especially Pittsburgh, or Cleveland for that matter, certainly.
Yeah. Now, what's your take on Hideous Mangleus? I hear Sam's here, and I'd like to. We're actually. So, for example, when I was talking about the Rish and the Rottrevore stuff, it's already laid out. We're doing the Hideous Mangleus, All Your Friends Are Dead album on vinyl for the first time. We're pressing the CD.
Well, for me,
That was '96, so actually it's post '95, so I guess maybe it sucks.
like as far as their music and what I'm familiar with, they kind of had more of the characteristics and qualities of a hardcore or grindcore style band, and I like that stuff. But I was more inclined to the death metal that was maybe not super technical and really involved for its song composition, but like Carcass and Napalm Death and or like a band like The Accused. It was kind of simple riffing. Well, there's stuff that's even simpler than that, but like Hideous was pretty good, but like I wanted to be like all about like just total death metal.
Yeah. So moving forward, then, guys are recording new stuff. Are you guys gonna be doing a bunch more shows where you try to get on fests, like really push it, or is it just kind of like, we're doing this for fun, we'll see where it goes?
Well, no, as a unit, we talk about trying to compile enough songs to make a full album, and that's taking a long time, and I don't know, how soon before we can make that complete enough and make a production out of it in the studio, but as far as live shows and stuff, we as a unit don't really want to do that. I myself would be open to doing shows if the band as a unit was ready to do shows, festivals or be a feature band with 2 and 3 other bands, anything like that, or even tonight, we're one of 4 bands.
Yeah. When was the last show you played before this one? Like, when was the last time? Was it been months or a year? Or?
No, it was in November of 22, and it was at a place called Black Forge Coffee. And
November of 2022?
Yeah.
So it's over 2 years since your last show.
Yeah, it's approximately 2.5. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the first show you're going to be playing where you're playing some new songs that no one's ever heard.
Yeah, well, actually, there's a song entitled Veracity and Blood Drenched Greed. We played that before. We played Shrine of Incursion. We got an instrumental piece called Life Canceling Nightmare. And then the other new song is entitled White Wall Crime Ring Massacre. I got pride in these titles. That's right.
Was that your title, Brian?
It's for all the cocaine users.
All the cocaine.
Yeah. Get caught in the crossfire innocently, and it's a crime ring massacre.
Yeah. All right, well, Chris, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I ambushed you at the last second. You weren't really expecting this. You got to still play. Is there anything you want to shout out or say before I let you go, like that I didn't bring up?
Heck. I'll think of it after we shut this camera off.
It's usually the way it goes. I do the same. I'm like, fuck, I forgot to ask this. The most obvious thing. Did I forget to ask anything completely obvious, Don? Sometimes I do. I'm like, God damn it, I forgot to ask. Nothing obvious?
What about the favorite death metal record?
Yeah, what is your favorite death metal record? What's the greatest death metal record of all time? You had to pick one.
If I had to pick one?
Yeah. I've asked this to many guys.
Enjoy the Violence from Massacre.
Oh, okay. Hey, you're the first one to say that, but yeah. Okay. Yes, a lot of people say, Altars of Madness, Seven Churches.
Hey, you know what, that album?
Seven Survival.
It doesn't drop tune low, but it's still heavy, and it packs a powerful
Did
punch.
you like the Signs of the Decline album? That was.
I'm not as familiar with it, but it's good.
Yes,
and then I like Final Holocaust. But tomorrow if you ask me the same question, I'm going to say Everflowing Stream from Dismember.
Oh, okay. That's my favorite album out of Sweden of all time, for sure.
Yeah, or I'd even say, I don't know, the first Morbid Angel, Abominations of Desolation.
So that's the best Morbid Angel, Abominations?
To me, yeah. Because all that cat fight, the cat fight guitar solo is all
Don
that.
says.
That's the best.
Don says Abomination songs. The Altars is like the re-recorded songs?
It's a good album, but
I get shit in shows. You really don't like it? I'm like, I didn't say I didn't like it. I said.
People have legitimately come up to me concerned, like, is Don serious? Like, he really actually doesn't like it? Or is he just saying that for camera?
And wait, let me add one or two more. Like, like Slowly We Rot from Obituary. That's not even drop tuned, and that's heavy as hell, and that's got a heavy guitar
Big
sound.
D hates it.
I didn't say that either.
I've heard it.
I never said that.
You said it.
I never said that.
And then like Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, that doesn't tune low, but that's heavy.
So something like Morbid Tales we talk about, do you consider that like a death metal record?
Well,
some people do, some of the older guys do.
Well, to me, I do, and here's why. There's a darkness about it. So death metal to me is not about growly vocals only. It's about the mood that the song creates. If the song creates a mood of scare, haunt, terrorizing, that's death metal. So like, when you think about the piano intro to the Halloween movie, that's like tinkling on like the high notes on a piano, and that's the scariest, eeriest piece of music there is. And really, later on it goes gong, gong, gong. But anyways, them high notes, they create a mood.
No, it is. It does. It definitely is.
So to me, if a band doesn't even tune low but has scary sounding parts, I mean, they can literally, tune sharp and still sound scary, eerie, and have the death metal quality about them.
So with that mentality, he's talking about Celtic Frost. I remember Don telling me years ago, he's like, the first death metal stuff was Hellhammer's first demo.
I would agree with that. And again, to me, Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, death metal, he just don't growl or, there's no distortion on the bass. But, I mean, if you just listen to that album, in your mind and in your soul, what do you envision? I mean, just dark as hell. Yeah. That guitar sound is so crisp, it's so heavy, it's so defined, it's got that natural feedback, it's benchmark. I mean, really the riffs that I write now, they're influenced by that. And that's a balancing act, because you don't want to copy exact, and then at the same time you want the integrity of, if someone comes up to you and says, "Man, you're like a modern day Celtic Frost," and that would be a
compliment.
That'd be a compliment.
I'm assuming you have a cutoff with Celtic Frost, though.
Well, I'm not real familiar with anything like past, like Megatherion and them other ones,
Yeah.
and I've been gun shy. And to me, it's almost like if a band puts out like a career epic album, like Creator's a great example. Pleasure to Kill, they don't have to record. If the rest of their albums from Creator are like trash, I hate to say it that way, but like if they're worthless, there'll always be a great band because of that one album.
Sure. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, unless there's anything else you want to shout out, Chris, that's about all I got for you.
And thanks for the opportunity and the feature and the intelligent questions and the accompaniment from Dawn.
Of course. Yeah, I look forward to watching you guys.
Let me say this about this place. This is called No Clouds.
First time here?
And yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
And there's something about it. It has the atmosphere and the feel of what a true underground metal place should have. You know, because like when I go see certain bands play places like Stage AE, that's near Pittsburgh,
Yeah, I've been
right
there.
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've been there, yeah.
And there's other venues of their caliber, and there's an underground metal band that kind of went big, and they're there. I'm there, and I'm kind of like I'm halfway enjoying the show, and something in my soul going like, there's something about this that just ain't right. So this place right here has a great atmosphere. I love it.
It's funny you say that because I had the same feeling when the last time we saw Merciful Fate on this reunites.
Yeah.
It's like it was cool seeing Merciful Fate, but I mean, dude, it was seating and it was like assigned seats. I felt like I was at a fucking baseball game. I'm like, this ain't a metal show. I was like, this fucking sucks. I got yelled at because I was standing in the wrong place. Like, you can't stand there. I'm like, this is fucking gay. I was like, you should be able to interact and be like stand up right up to the stage if you want to.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, they put on a good show and they looked awesome. I'm like, but I was turned off like a motherfucker. And it was just posers of the high heavens that probably just heard Fate last week. I was that so I can understand that feeling. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have an underground feel.
That's an important component. I mean, with Dawn being here and a couple other people upstairs here
That's a full
that I
house,
haven't
yeah.
seen for years, it just like makes the experience even better.
All right, Chris. Well, I appreciate your time. That's it for this one, Devils. Later.